Nobody's gonna care, because every newspaper throughout the whole world is gonna read something like this. 3 doped up, freaked out American motorcycle tramps tried to take on the entire Chinese army.
That's right, folks. Legendary character actor who usually plays a villain, the late, great William Smith, stars in this crazy-ass war movie that's invaded by a biker movie. So who better to headline the show than the great William Smith? This is one of the few films where William Smith is the film's lead actor, and not some side character beating everyone up or violently killing everyone just because he can. This time, he's the hero. Sorta. This movie is called The Losers, and for good reason. It's really hard to find a decent character you can get behind in this movie that you can call the true hero. Even William Smith, even though in the end I guess he was the lesser of the losers by comparison, but still, he's a questionable character too in this.
You never choose to breathe it. I mean, it belongs to the goddamn citizens, don't it, man?
Yeah. How about raping those young girls? How about that, huh? George, you forget about that.
But considering the actions of some of his motorcycle gangmates, and the fact that it takes place during the Vietnam War, and everybody's just killing everybody without even thinking about it, it's a mess. Just like I'm sure the real Vietnam War probably was. I don't know for sure, I wasn't there. But of all the big scale wars I've learned about in my life, the Vietnam War is the most confusing. A real clusterfuck of politics, governments, dictatorships, communism, and a vast amount of different opinions on what should be done about this mess. And for someone who wasn't even in existence when this whole war was going on, I think it's even more confusing from my point of view. Politics confuse me enough anyway. Thank God that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about this movie called The Losers, where William Smith and his biker gang of total losers are drafted by the US government and army to go on a suicide mission into Red China occupied Cambodia and rescue a guy that none of them seem to like anyway. Some political missionary guy who's just as unlikable as some of the losers themselves.
I just want you to know that I represent the United States of America. And then you, with all your funny-looking people, came in here and blew it for me.
Yeah, I'll say it again. It's really hard to find a redeemable character in this film that you can call the actual hero. So you be the judge of who the biggest loser is and who the real heroes are, if any. In this very different war film that collides with a William Smith biker movie, in a Vietnam War movie that was made and released during the actual Vietnam War, making this shit controversial perhaps. It's 1970s, The Losers. Even though there's another movie in 2010 that came out called The Losers, but that's got nothing to do with this. So kaboom! We're somewhere in the jungles of Cambodia, I believe. Now it can only be the height of the Vietnam War, when this small village of peace-loving folk who seem very welcoming and kind to the American soldiers in town, went huzzah, Charlie all over the place. Right? Charlie? That's what they always call him in every Vietnam War movie I've seen. The enemy is Charlie. So these two Charlies open fire on literally everyone in sight. Soldiers, the townsfolk, women, children, who cares? Even a young James Spader is killed. Aw, now he can't do that show The Blacklist where he has no more beautiful hair. Aw, sorry James Spader. You were too good for this world, I guess. Then this nut freaks out and comes in guns a-blazing, shooting anything that moves, and runs out of ammo just in time not to murder this kid. Oops. Easy there, buddy. I think you got him. And maybe a few civilians too. And this mess isn't over yet as more Charlie buckets of death start blowing up army trucks, killing a bunch more people. Well then, war is indeed hell. Smack those titles at us. It's The Losers. But at least Sergeant Goober here in this one truck got away. And a good thing too, because this is the truck that's smuggling in our losers, who we get to meet right off the bat as they all climb out of this truck, and boy, they get stupider and more loser-eater as they go. Why is there a biker gang in the middle of Vietnam War? They look so out of place. This could only make things worse. First we got the leader, Link, played in perfect William Smith fashion by the great William Smith. He's the most decent of the group, but that's not saying much.
Let me introduce you to these freaks.
As we meet Duke, a relatively normal human being actually, when compared to the next questionable guy who goes by the nickname Limpy, because he walks with a limp. Yeah, not because he can't get his dick up. But then, when compared to this doofus, they call Dirty Denny, Limpy looks like one of the prophets. Dirty Denny has got to be the biggest loser of this group. He wears loser like a badge of loser honor. He's gross, he's disgusting, he's a pig, he's very openly racist, a rapist and womanizer who beats children and women alike. Cares only for himself and getting wasted. A true loser with a true loser nickname, Dirty Denny. And finally there's this guy, known as Speed. I don't know if it's after the fact that he's a biker and likes to speed, or because he likes to do the drug known as speed. My final thought on that was probably both. But anybody who proudly displays the Hitler logo, clearly self-drawn on their bandana, is probably a loser of sorts too. Why would you even want this guy here? But between Speed and Dirty Denny, I still think Dirty Denny is the biggest loser.
Dirty Denny.
Even if he doesn't proudly display the swastika on his forehead, at least not here. Like the rest, Speed is a pillar of the community compared to Dirty Denny. So yep, these are the guys the army and government have recruited to go on a top secret mission deep into Red China occupied Cambodia. More than likely a suicide mission to rescue some douchebag for the CIA. That's your basic plot. It's up to these guys, the rightfully named losers. The head honcho here is this guy, who is apparently William Smith's character's brother. I think anyway, they're never totally clear on some things in this movie. That's why he hired him and his band of misfits to go on this mission. The group's then assigned this guy, Captain Jackson, as their unofficial bodyguard and leader through this mission. Do what this guy tells you, which I'm sure will be a hoot for a bunch of racist bikers, and a pain in the ass for him. So then they're quickly briefed on their mission. Apparently there's this village where they're keeping a guy named Chet Davis, prisoner. And this prison happens to be in neutral territory, so the army can't go in there. But these freaks can, and if they're caught, the army will naturally deny any knowledge of knowing them. You know the drill. Their mission with the advantage of motorcycles on their side, so they can ride in and rescue Chet Davis from one of 3 huts that he might be in. They're not sure which one. Well, shit.
Chet Davis is in one of these 3 huts. We don't know which one.
Which is why the bikes are perfect. In this narrow, roaded area, they can get in and out real quickly, because everyone will be trying to kill them at that point. So then cut to the army-issued bikes that this group of scooter trash argue over who's gonna get which one.
Tell you what, we'll flip for it. Sure hate to see any of you big badasses get dumped on a broad's bike, huh?
And that's when it's revealed that Link and this Chet Davis guy they're going to rescue know one another and don't seem to like each other very much.
I know how you feel about Chet Davis, but just bring him back alive.
But William Smith's still down with the whole mission because, he's a different, more decent kind of William Smith, I guess. So then, vroom, they're off. Captain Jackson orders them to follow closely behind his army truck. Orders which they immediately disobey, as they speed right around him and go joyriding through the beautiful countryside of Cambodia. Actually filmed in the Philippines. They go from showing off in the road, to right through the middle of this field, to back to the road, and then they were back in the middle of a field again. They're just all over the place. Cambodia, everybody, but it's actually the Philippines. I guess they might look similar. So then the biker gang rides right into this small village where they make themselves right at home, take what they want, and nobody stops them either. That's when Link proves to be the more compassionate loser, when he gives this little crippled child the ride of his life on a motorcycle with the great William Smith.
Hey, pal. Come on.
Who needs save the children when William Smith can just ride you around on his motorcycle? There's even a parade going on in this town. A pretty lively place even though it's surrounded by wartime. So with Captain Jackson still behind him, Duke takes his chance to just wander off on his own. Hides his bike somewhere, gets topless because it's probably boiling hot out there, and then just wanders off into the jungle. So when Captain Jackson finally reaches this town, he goes right to this whorehouse and opium den, looking for the losers. Cause where else would you expect a bunch of losers to go, right? Straight to the whorehouse and opium den? Yeah, I agree. That's probably where they are. At least Dirty Denny, and yup, he's the one that he finds there. Banged 3 women at once, all of them probably underage. Apparently Dirty Denny used to be in the army before he got kicked out, and is familiar with this particular whorehouse. He claims they owe him money or something, so he's just gonna hang around here for a while. Yeah, we're on a mission, dumbass. Captain Jackson then informs Dirty Denny that he saw a couple of local kids stripping his motorcycle before he came in here.
When I came in here, the kids had the wheels unloaded.
which certainly gets his ass up and moving as he insults everyone he passes.
Get out of there, you thieving slump head before I kill ya!
Dirty Denny then chases down one of these kids and starts beating the shit out of him. Then when this lady comes to the boy's aid, he starts hitting her too. Ah, Dirty Denny. You're winning no points with the locals here, you dumb asshole. Dirty Denny is the true definition of a freak. Captain Jackson then comes to Dirty Denny's rescue by pulling a tree out of the ground and beating the locals off him with it. That's inventive and resourceful. Way to go, Captain Jackson. And for all this, Dirty Denny thanks him with a racial insult.
He's not a bad spook after all.
And is properly hit for it. Do we really need this guy? Perhaps he's too much of a loser. So then Dirty Denny brings everyone back together as Link is trying to trade coffee for beer or something. This goofy looking bastard. Captain Jackson then warns them all about not following his orders, but none of them really seem to care.
Look, I don't suppose it'll do any good to talk to you men about disobeying orders. But the last thing I told you was to stay close behind. Could have gotten your fool heads blown off.
They're losers. Durhead. They then track down this guy looking for motorcycle parts. Oh, he's a lovable looking guy, isn't he? He's a local mechanic that's gonna help them prepare their motorcycles for battle. Captain Jackson wants them to hurry their ass up with these bike upgrades though, with Chet Davis just sitting around there waiting to be rescued and all. That's when Link reveals his true feelings for Chet Davis. He does not approve of him. And likewise, they don't like each other.
Let me tell you something about Chet Davis and his boots. He uses those boots for stomping on people like you and me.
They're on opposite ends of the political spectrum.
You really believe that, man?
Yeah, man. I believe it.
So cut back to Duke as we see why he took off. He had no girlfriend that lives out here. What do you know about that? And why? Because he was also once in the army. And I guess he met her in that time. And now he's back. We're then treated to the tender loser's love theme as we get to watch Duke and this woman really love each other all day and into the night. It's not a bad song. Such a that era in history kind of sound. Singing about losers during a tender love scene. So Duke wants her to come back with him, which she's only hesitant to do since her brother hasn't returned from his army service yet or something.
I cannot go before I see him, my brother.
So then the next morning he kisses her goodbye and promises this town of 4 people that he will return. So then cut to the bike so they get all zooped up with a little bike getting zooped up montage. Getting prepared for battle. With all these crazy upgrades with machine guns mounted on top and shit. Then the army even starts training these guys to kill. Properly, anyway.
All right, Danny. This is a Swedish 9mm machine gun.
Not their normal way of just like beating a guy over the head with a beer bottle or something. Then cut back to that whorehouse where there's a party going on with all these underage hookers. Which is still illegal even though you're in Cambodia. It's not like it's okay to do that there. And even Limpy gets it up enough to make it with this lady of the night. Only this lady of the night comes with her own crying baby too.
Christ, you got a kid in here?
Oh, my baby.
How lucky for Limpy. Limpy points out that the baby is black in the most racist way that he can. I probably just won't show that scene. Just guess what he calls the baby. A blank baby. You fill in the blank. Yeah, it actually said it in that movie. I mean, again, I told you there were racial slurs in this movie. I'm not going to show them all, but just guess what he said. It was racist. So it turns out that this hooker in one of her many nights in the town got impregnated by a black American soldier who just sort of left her there with this kid, I guess. Had to go back to the war and stuff.
A black man. An officer.
Then this party is raided by the MPs, or as Speed calls them, a host of Mounties.
My God, here comes a host of Mounties.
I think this is my favorite line of the movie, just because that's his reaction to all this.
My God, here comes a host of Mounties.
A host of Mounties. I don't know why that's funny to me. So this whole Adam West Batman fight breaks out. Now, if the lighting is right, expect the Joker to jump out at any second. Army guys versus a bunch of dumb, drunk bikers. Then they're all finally knocked out. And this party is over. That's when, ka-ching, we cut to the drunk tank. These doofs are being held in. We find out they could get 7 years in prison for this shit show they caused. In that whorehouse with underage women in it. But Captain Jackson is willing to bail their dumbasses out, if they're willing to follow his orders. Which of course they agree to.
I want your word you'll do your damn job you're supposed to do, and that's all.
But then, back at the garage, Dirty Denny, of course, stupid fuck that he is, decides that he wants to go back to the whorehouse that he's been barred from for life.
I'm gonna go to Mama San's and get myself a chick.
Fortunately, Link puts him in his place. idiot.
Take it easy, Danny.
He deserves worse. You should have just left him in prison. Again, do you really need this guy? There. Thank you, dude. You've done us all a service. I hope you choke to death, dipshit. That's when it's prepare for battle time. Biker battle, that is. So they all start loading up into the truck. When Limpy has decided that he is in love and is bringing this lady and her kid along now. Link is rip shit, naturally, but Limpy insists. So he says to hell with it and just agrees.
You out of your goddamn mind. Oh, come on, man, Link.
Just to avoid having an argument with Limpy right before go time. Stupid. Whatever, dumbass. Bring this lady and her crying baby along in this shit. Think before you act, man. So then they're off. And only a few minutes down the road, that's when Duke decides that he's not quite ready to go yet. He just bails out of the truck while it's moving and takes off into the jungle, promising a once again pretty furious Link that he will return in time for the big rescue. We'll see about that. Clearly, he's going back for his woman too. These guys are not very reliable or smart. Putting a woman you love in harm's way is a loser move, a la the title of the film. So when they finally come to a stop, Captain Jackson's all pissed off that Link just let Duke go run the hell off.
If one man drops out, it puts the whole operation in jeopardy. Can't you understand that?
But this is short-lived when literally seconds later, Duke shows up. On his back, with his woman, and her brother too. So it's all about you and your personal life, huh? You do realize you're on a deadly mission to rescue some douchebag for the CIA behind enemy lines. Perhaps this shit can wait till later. Then we get even more drama when it's revealed that Captain Jackson is the father of Limpy's girlfriend's baby. Makes sense because he's a black guy too. Limpy is clearly not the father. You know, with a name like Limpy, I don't think he's impregnating many women. Only Captain Jackson and this lady don't seem to get along too well. So who cares? So back to machine gun mounted motorcycles ready for war. Duke then sends little brother on his way so he can go bang his girlfriend at this waterfall. Limpy then briefly tries his hand at a normal life too.
You come home to your little woman, turn on the television, drink some beer.
Cute. But I sense both these relationships are doomed. Then boom, the attack plan. Yeah, they actually have one. Believe that shit. Everyone has their place.
All right, now which hut is Davis in?
One of these three. Here, here, and right here.
Link and Duke are going to hit there. Speed.
Yeah, man. I lay over there to the gasoline dump and drop in a couple grenades.
Even Dirty Denny.
Denny!
You sure drive hard, don't you? I know where I'm supposed to be.
However, Duke has to change her heart when he decides to bail out in this suicide mission. Totally. So he can go live a normal life. With his love. Only when they're making their way out of town, they hit a bomb on the road. That sends them and their motorcycle flying sky high into a nearby river where they are gunned down by two more Charlies. And if you were paying attention earlier to Duke's girlfriend's brother, you only saw him for a second. I didn't notice this myself first in the first viewing. But this is him again. He's fighting for the other side, which means he just murdered his own sister. Yeah, well that sucks. War is hell. Perhaps they shouldn't have left after all. Everyone briefly grieves in the wake of Duke's death.
I guess he just wanted to live a little.
But it's short-lived because it's war after all. So back to it.
Let's get on our bikes and go to work.
Just rescue this guy already. Speed smokes up before the big event, of course. Want to be fully alert for this shit. So finally, it's go time.
Lieutenant Hayworth, move your unit into position.
Let's go get this dick Chet Davis. Or whatever the hell his name is. Chet? Sounds like a douchebag name.
It'll be the one thing you gotta remember, man. When you go in there with that hog wagon, you gotta raise hell.
When I hit those bastards, they're gonna know it's me, Link.
Yeah, they're gonna know it's you, Limpy, even though they have no idea who you are. Just imagine, some random soldier inside that camp hears a machine gun go off, and his first thought is, that's gonna be Limpy, the idiot, the loser. So kaboom! Off goes the tank and the invasion is on. As these doped up bikers come crashing into this camp, guns a-friggin' a-blazing, and they're firing all over the place at anything that moves. Even this innocent child, pretty sure that was Dirty Denny. God, what? What the fuck was that? War, I guess? It's fantastic? Because they keep on shooting this place the hell up and blowing up guard towers like it's some sort of F-troop convention. Why are there civilians here anyway? I thought this was some kind of army prison camp. I told you the Vietnam War was confusing. I see London, I see France, I see Dirty Denny's green underpants. Green? Bet they were white originally. So more people running for the lives went, hey-oh! William Smith's wild ride over this building, kabooey! Then boom, another tower up. There's no one even in that tower. Blow it up anyway, I guess. Then our favorite loser, because he's so good at being a loser, Dirty Danny, finds himself trapped for his last stand. Surrounded and out of ammo and guns pointed on him, ready to shoot him dead. He says,
Oh my God.
Yeah, famous last words. Oh my God. Good one, Danny. You're a man of God now, huh? Just die already so decent human beings can move on with their life. Like that guy back at the garage, or that lady who runs the whorehouse, or that chick who stood up to your stupid ass for beating up a child, or this guy, or that crippled kid that William Smith drove around, or Red China, or every Charlie out there. They did more for society than you, Dirty Denny. May you rest in a hole, maybe covered in dirt, if we have the time. Then, to no surprise, Limpy is captured. Good for you, Limpy. Way to support the wife and kids. Cut to Link, who's crashing his bike right into the correct building where Chet Davis is being kept. This is the guy, huh? Why is he dressed like a scientist? Anyway, he just bails the hell out of there, starts running for his life, only to be tackled to the ground by Link, who in turn is immediately captured by the enemy.
You stupid bastard.
Speed 2. Cruise control. So mission failed. Way to go, guys. Battle's over and a bunch of people are dead. A lot of them women and children and old people. What were you idiots thinking? You weren't. You're losers. So then Link, Limpy, and Speed and Chet Davis are all locked in this hut together. Chet Davis starts freaking out and gets into a big fight with Link. This guy just hates bikers and their whole lifestyle, and apparently got Link locked up because he hates trash like him. He sees his coming here as only making things worse. And to be fair, he's right, considering how this whole rescue turned out. I just keep picturing that kid getting shot as soon as they busted into the camp. First thing you do is Dirty Denny shoots a kid. Bravo guys, way to fucking go. Hard to tell who's good or who's right here. They all seem like jackasses. Chet Davis seems to think that Link raped some teenage girls or something, but they're never really all that clear on whether he did or not.
How about raping those young girls? How about that, huh? George, you forget about that.
Let me tell you something, man. It don't start out like that. But you bastards can never take anything that don't fit into your mold.
What do you mean by that, Link? I don't get it. Did you or did you? What? They don't ever touch on that again. So then that Link and the gang get to get stoned on drugs that the enemy provides them with. Very kind and hospitable considering. They then get totally into it too. Start laughing, having a real good time, and use this as a way to make an escape. It's sort of weird and eerie, as they're all laughing while they're beating people up and killing them. Right as the enemy comes in to check on these crazy asses. This shit works too. They kill a bunch more people laughing the whole time. Grab that dick Chet Davis guy and then bail the hell on out of there. Only to be immediately followed, of course. Then, boom, Speed's down. Not dead yet, but down. Then Limpy, dumbass that he is, though warned, flips his shit right the hell over.
Stop! Oh my God!
Chet Davis and all. Wow, that was one hell of a spill. Hooray, Limpy. Way to win the Vietnam War, dipshit. Chet Davis then takes cover as a tank and gun battle erupts, as the army finally shows up to assist them. That's when good old Captain Jackson's blown the hell up. And killed, apparently. So that baby is officially fatherless. So I guess it's all up to you, single mom in war-torn Cambodia, working as a hooker to make ends meet and pay for her child. Wow. Unwilling to help Link and Limpy because he despises them so damn much.
I wouldn't help you, you son of a bitch. I hope they kill you.
Chet Davis makes a run for it as Limpy officially dies, I guess.
Davis, if I get out of this, I swear to God, I'm gonna kill you.
Link then goes after him only to very quickly be shot dead by the enemy. Yep. Well, that's that, I guess. Speed then makes his final stand and goes after Chet Davis with a knife for this shit.
Cut your guts out.
Only to be gunned down by the army major. Was that necessary? Did you have to shoot him? He had a little fucking knife. You had a gun. You could have just said, drop the fucking knife, Speed. Alright, it's over. Dumbass. Nope, shoot him, might as well. Now all the losers are officially dead. Bravo! This questionable government dick Chet Davis is still alive though, and still as arrogant as hell.
You finally did something right. I'll give you that one. Now get me back to Washington so I can straighten out this mess.
He wants to go back to Washington or something that makes sense about whatever the hell this was all about. And that is pretty much it. We cut to this collage that features a compilation of every kill shot in the movie pretty much. So you even see James Spader get killed again. And that kid, who had nothing to do with anything. I guess that was Vietnam War. Then kaboom! The tank shoots us right in the face and the movie is officially over. And they play that loser's theme song again. So was this a message about the war in Vietnam or something? And how pointlessly stupid it all was? Like most wars, I'm sure. It's all on how you look at it, I guess. Which leads me right into my final thoughts on this crazy-ass none of a movie, The Losers. I actually liked this movie, believe it or not. It was enjoyable still, and well made on a very small budget. I like that blend of biker film meets war film. That was interesting. I don't think any other movie has done it that I've seen. And yes, it's a bit dated when it comes to the very open use of racial slurs. But I think they might have been just trying to add to the characters as being the losers that they were and just openly using this language. But I'm pretty sure even then it was probably insulting to people. Just get away with it more. The Losers was directed by Jack Starrett. He was also an actor and played the uncredited role of that Chet Davis dick in the movie. That was him. Now, if you sort of recognize him, because I didn't at first, he's a bit younger here, but he was also in Blazing Saddles as Gabby Johnson, that guy who spoke frontier gibberish. And probably more notably, he was in First Blood. His character's name was Galt, I believe. He was the only character to actually die in the movie First Blood. That guy who fell out of the helicopter when Rambo threw the rock at it. The one who really truly hated Rambo. That was Jack Starrett. He directed the movie. Pretty interesting fact to me. Then there's the fact that this movie headlines William Smith. Like I said, William Smith is normally cast as a villain, or some sort of supporting villain, but never the main star. Not often anyway, but this is one of them. As a William Smith fan, I think he's great in it, of course. If anything, he's the closest thing to a hero that this film has, even though they're never really clear on that whole rape accusation thing that Chet Davis did. He did give that crippled boy a ride on his bike though. And the little fact about this scene on the bike, it wasn't in the script. William Smith just did that and they left it in the movie. You see, in reality, William Smith was a really nice guy. A poet even, believe it or not. Here's the proof. Yeah. His wife sent me a copy of his poetry book after I made a tribute video for him after his passing. By far, probably the coolest thing to happen to me on YouTube so far. Besides all the nice comments too. Thank you for those, people who leave them. Then there's this actor, Paul Koslo. He had a pretty notable acting career. I remember him from Mr. Majestic and an episode of The Incredible Hulk, an episode of The Greatest American Hero. He was in Rooster Cogburn with John Wayne and Katharine Hepburn, among many other works too. He was even almost killed during the filming of this movie. In this scene where he flips his three-wheeler, that was real and not supposed to happen. He walked away from it though, very lucky. However, he did die in 2019. The guy who played Duke was also a character actor, along with the guy who played Speed, who did a couple movies, but worked mostly in special effects. But Dirty Denny is another story. He only did one more acting credit after this movie, and it was the very next year. That same year, he was killed in either a car accident or some kind of drive-by shooting. I could never find a clear answer on that. But in the commentary on the DVD for this movie, Paul Koslo and William Smith tell a story about when they arrived at the airport in the Philippines and how all the Filipinos were very nice to them and welcoming, and so were they and the rest of the cast and crew, except for the actor who played Dirty Denny. His name in real life was Houston Savage. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that probably wasn't his real name either. Anyhow, he was very rude to them, very insulting and using a lot of racial slurs and insults. He was actually taken outside and about to be shot by authorities when the crew had to step in and stop it. So yeah, Dirty Denny played Dirty Denny so well because he wasn't acting. He actually was Dirty Denny. So like I said, this was filmed in the Philippines, doubling as Cambodia, and there were no sets needed. Everything you see is real. Even this opium den. It's a real opium den. And these are real opium users getting high. No joke. And finally, before I go, there is this fun fact. Scenes from this movie can be seen briefly in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Playing on the TV in Bruce Willis's motel room towards the end of the movie. Well, that's all for now, folks. Take care, and I'll see you at the movies.
My God, here comes the host of Mandy.
Oh my God.